when so much is wrong. My heart is welling up inside me. But with you right here by my side, we stand as one. You fill my heart with love and mercy. I see the fire in your eyes come shining through. Feels like God is speaking to me. Some people never realize the truth that we know. There is no difference from me to you. You see, I dream of a world where we fit right in, embracing every soul and their gorgeous skin. Can you feel the divine in this universe? Pounding inside you, sing this verse. Ayam nijaha paroveti ganana laghu chetasam udara charita namatu vasudev kutumbakam. Ayam nijaha paroveti ganana laghu chetasam udara charita namatu vasudev kutumbakam. I don't care what you did, where you're from, or what's your name. We stand together, one and the same. I'm walking on a road to peace beyond this place. My faith and truth will be what guides me. Just trying to help heal all the pain and give that grace. Yeah, we are stronger with unity. You see, I dream of a world that I can call home, where every person's connected and never alone. Can you feel the divine in this universe? Pounding inside you, sing this verse. Hey! Ayam nijaha paroveti ganana laghu chetasam udara charita namatu vasudev kutumbakam. Ayam nijaha paroveti ganana laghu chetasam udara charita namatu vasudev kutumbakam. I don't care what you did, where you're from, what's your name. We stand together, one and the same.
Sarvabhyo Namaha. My name is Ritvishwale. As you saw in our presentation, Hindu Heritage Month was a historic time in which our entire community, for the first time, came together to celebrate the contributions Hindu Dharma has made to the United States. These contributions that various organizations did ranged from traditional events like Diwali all the way to new events that hopefully will last for generations to come, like World Bindi Day. Because of this event, many people who once thought that Hinduism merely consisted of caste, cows, and curry now understand Hindu Dharma and what it has brought to the world. And perhaps most important is that being that it is our first HHM, this is only the beginning. We will certainly grow, and our future here is only looking brighter. That being said, I'm glad to officially welcome you all to the closing ceremonies for our first annual Hindu Heritage Month, where we will together celebrate our achievements, reflect on how this month has gone, and look forward to our future. Now, before we begin, I'd like to have Ankit and Akash Tahal, two Bhutanese Hindus living in Dallas, give an invocation or Ganesh Vandana for this event.
ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा एकदन्तं महाकायं लम्बोदरगजाननं विघ्ननाशकरं देवं हेरम्बं प्रणमाम्यहम् गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।
Thank you so much for that, Ankishji and Akashji. It was very well done. Now, I'd like to have Amitabh Mittalji, Secretary General of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America, explain why and how Hindu Heritage Month was started. Amitabhji.
Namaskar, everyone. Thank you, Rutvij, for giving me this opportunity to describe the origin, how Hindu Heritage Month came to be. In January of this year, Ajay Shahji, who's the president of the VHPA, Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America, and myself received the daitva of president and secretary for the organization. In our first conversation, we both agreed on something like this should happen. The Hindu community has grown to a level in the United States of America that it is time that people should understand who we are, what does it mean to be a Hindu, and our heritage needs to be shared with the communities. We find that our self and our second and third generation are still having a hard time explaining to people what Hinduism is. And there's a lot of misconception. So we wanted to celebrate our heritage. We wanted to explain to the world that who we are, especially in the United States, Canada, North America. And that thought process developed into what we have today as first ever Hindu Heritage Month celebrated in the United States and Canada. And we're hearing it from other countries joined in. Thailand, Australia also joined into this. And we are bringing the message of peace, harmony, and growing together. Hindus in America are close to 8 million strong. We have contribution in every aspect of the American society, be it technology, be it medicine, be it education. And it is time the world knows what it means to be Hindu. So we're celebrating our month, we're educating the people, and I'm so happy to hear and declare that we have over 25 states governors recognizing Hindu Heritage Month, October as a Hindu Heritage Month. And that is a great achievement for the Hindu community. Our contribution to this nation shows the respect we receive from the community. So this is the origin of Hindu Heritage Month, and hopefully we'll have many, many more in near future. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Namaste.
Dhanyavad, Amitabhji. I really couldn't agree more. You mentioned that there are 25 states that recognize Hindu Heritage Month, and now what was an idea a long time ago has now blossomed into not only those 25 states, but tens of local governments and even the federal government of the United States. Let's hear a short video about some of these groups now.
On September 30th, 2021, Raja Krishnamurthy, the Illinois congressman for the 8th District, made history when he spoke these words from the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. Madam Speaker, today I rise to join many Hindu faithful in the United States in recognizing the month of October as Hindu Heritage Month. Prior to Krishnamurthy's statement, a number of cities and states in the Union had issued similar proclamations. However, this was the first time a sitting member of the US Congress had risen in the chamber of the House of Representatives to recognize the Hindu American diaspora in this manner. Hindu Americans had been waiting for years for some recognition of their outsized contributions to the American society. With Krishnamurthy's declaration, it was as if floodgates had opened. City after city, state after state, rose in unison to honor their Hindu American citizenry by issuing similar proclamations. When all was said and done, 20 states of the Union and 36 cities had issued such proclamations, and several US congressmen had made official statements to honor the Hindu American community. Such recognition for any community is unprecedented in its own right. However, what makes it truly unique is to have received such broad based recognition in the very first year of our endeavor to celebrate our rich heritage as a public event. How did it happen? It certainly was no accident. It was, in fact, the result of the combined efforts of scores of volunteers of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America and its partners who had been working for months behind the scenes to make the Hindu Heritage Month a major milestone in the life of the Hindu diaspora. Let's take a moment to enjoy the accolades, but also let's not forget to appreciate the hard work of all the volunteers who have made it all possible. Dhanyavad.
What a great video. Thousands and thousands of Karyakartas put in valuable time to be able to get these proclamations, and it's very good to see them recognized. And on a wider level, having so many of our organizations, HAF, Kona, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and many more smaller organizations all come to do this and come as a united front, it really does, show the power of our Hindu community. Now, some of these organizations also held their own events, and we have a small panel here today for you, moderated by Sohini Sarkarji, Board of Trustees, member of the Hindu Students Council, and also a Board of Directors member of Kona, where you're going to get to hear about some of these events. Sohini ji.
Namaste. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm now going to go ahead and introduce the panelists for this session. So this session is called Being Hindu in America, Challenges in Staying Connected with Our Heritage. So I'll bring on our panelists. Prasiddha Sudhakar is a senior at Rutgers University. She's the external president of Rutgers Hindu Students Council and president of HSC's Collegiate Leadership Board. She is a co-author of a Rutgers University Student Assembly resolution that recognized Hinduphobia, making it the first for any U.S. college. Next, we have Agrima Agnihotri. She is a steering committee member of the Coalition of Hindus of North America, CONA, which is a grassroots advocacy organization that seeks to protect the collective interests of the Hindu community by working on the issues faced by them and educating the public about Hindu heritage and tradition. Next, we have Natasha Patel, who has been involved with HSS for the past 21 years, working to preserve, practice, and promote Hindu Dharma through community building. For the past several years, she has also been working with Hindu Yuva to promote unity and dharmic values on college campuses. Our last panelist is Priya Panditji. She is on the National Leadership Council of the Hindu American Foundation, an organization that educates the public and media, advocates for pro-Hindu policies, and highlights human rights issues. As a mom, the greatest lesson she wishes to convey is to express pride in who you are by spreading knowledge of our history, traditions, and values. Thank you so much to this wonderful panel. I'm really excited to hear all the thoughts you have to share with us today. So I'm going to start out with a question for Agrima. Can you tell us a little bit about one event your organization has hosted as a part of Hindu Heritage Month and what your members enjoyed about it?
Sure, thank you, Shalini. So Kona has hosted quite a few events for Hindu Heritage Month. One event that we hosted in particular was the Women in Hindu Scriptures, Voices of Shakti, and this event was held yesterday with Dr. Paranjpe, who delved deeper into exactly what our scriptures highlight as the role of women. And rather than highlighting, what is out there, kind of like clarifying, the role of women in Hinduism, and we found this to be a great way to wrap up Hindu Heritage Month. And then to answer the second part of your question, what members or viewers, I think in general, enjoy about what we display through content and events is that we're correcting wrong perceptions associated with Hinduism. And we're really taking the narrative back into our hands and showing the world what Hindu philosophies are actually, a part of our religion in an effort to showcase the merits of who we are.
Thanks so much for sharing that. So Hindu Students Council, Kona, and Mission Bindi hosted World Bindi Day as part of Hindu Heritage Month. What did these celebrations mean to you, and how do you think these initiatives can continue to grow confidence and solidarity as Hindus and for Hindus in the future years? I wanted to hear first from Prasiddha.
Sure, thanks, Shohini. So I think it does instill a huge sense of confidence. And I know this because obviously growing up here, I always wore the bindi and I never felt sort of ashamed or afraid, but I know that a lot of other people did because of names that they would get called, oftentimes like dot head or what is that on your head? Is your head bleeding? Other comments like that, even some that may not necessarily be, with a malicious intent, but just something that people are not really aware of, like they don't really know what the bindi is. And for example, I'm from South India. We always wear vibhuti and kungumam. So all of these are things that not people are very familiar with. So I do think that this gives a huge amount of representation for the younger generation to actually wear their bindi with pride. We see this, so many pop culture artists are sort of cool and progressive in taking the bindi nowadays, but without giving Hinduism its due credit. So this is a real tactic for us to reclaim the bindi for everything that it means, the embodiment of Shakti and divine feminism. And I personally do really like this, as it does encourage so many more people to be proud of wearing the bindi. And we at Rutgers HSC actually hosted a little photography session where everyone got to wear a bindi and tilak, and we posted pictures on our Instagrams so that we can encourage more people. So all of these initiatives are really powerful in inspiring others and making sure that we are represented for what we truly are.
Thanks so much, Prasiddha. Agrima, as a representative of Kona, do you mind sharing your thoughts as well?
Yeah, sure. So, Prasiddha, first of all, I couldn't have said it better. It's great to hear what you're doing. Going off of that, one of the core missions at Kona is to make sure we preserve what we have, whether that be religion or like religious practices or philosophies. And so initiatives like World Bindi Day help us do that. And I saw the impact of World Bindi Day when I told a few Hindu teachers in my local area that World Bindi Day exists and what we're doing. And they wore bindis on World Bindi Day, and they wore it to their schools, and they mentioned that students were curious about the bindi, the story behind it. And so it led to many conversations about the bindi. And this was great because it helped raise awareness about the purpose of bindis in Hinduism. And seeing a person wear a bindi makes other Hindus potentially question why they're not wearing a bindi or why they ever stopped wearing one, which I think is very important. And we're reminding each other of Hindu practices and hopefully initiating conversations and encouraging people to participate, which is a great way to increase solidarity and confidence in general.
Awesome. Great to hear that. So I have another question now for those organizations that were involved with getting official recognition for Hindu Heritage Month. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about what that means for you and your community to have Hindu Heritage Month officially recognized by your town, city, state, or country. So I wanted to first hear from Natasha.
Sure, namaste. I think definitely the end goal of getting that proclamation is a really big move to have like a recognized platform, an official platform under which we can actually, like host a lot of events, receive recognition for it. But what really I think hits home for me and what I've heard from a lot of people that were involved in getting this proclamation is that the process is so important because it's so important for us to be seen and understood through our own actions, through the relationships that we build, rather than, it's one thing to say that like, oh, we're a loving and festive people, but to actually show love, to go out and to like build these relationships, to share that festivity is how we that's how we get people to know who we are. It really is through that action, through the relationships we build. So this opportunity to build relationships with government officials, and hopefully it's either a first step or like just one among the many steps we're going to take to continue to build that.
Great. Priyaji, do you want to jump in?
Absolutely. So as you've seen in the video, we have passed the proclamations. We have gone out into our communities respectively to really promote Hindu Heritage Month. And as a result, these resolutions and proclamations in various counties have just taken on a life of its own. As a matter of fact, just so everyone knows, I live in Dallas, Texas, in a suburb called South Lake in Colleyville, western suburb in Texas. And so yesterday, for the first time, there was a South Lake Diwali festival, not the grand Diwali Mela that attracts 40,000 people, but just in our own community. And we had 5,000 to 7,000 people there. The mayor showed up, right? We've talked to the mayor about Hindu heritage. We've talked to him, his wife, the city council, school boards, things like that. Showed up with a kurta, his wife in a beautiful salwar kameez. Half the audience there were non-Indian, right? Now, I'm not saying that there probably wasn't a lot of white Hindus as well, but in general, it was just a local celebration for all of us to gather around what our holidays mean. And so these resolutions are really important, not just at a local level, but we've seen that even at a state governor level and things like that, the influence that it takes. And like what others have said, the process in doing so is a journey. We've got to keep in touch with all of these people. We can't just do this in the month of October and then forget it till September of next month, right? We've got to continually engage who we are. And these celebrations and resolutions are growing. There's more and more people that want to do it in their individual counties, bringing it to their school boards. I mean, that's like total change from even 5 years ago. So I'm glad that we're all working together to make these things happen.
Yep, that's really great to see that solidarity. Prasiddha, do you want to jump in on this question as well?
Sure, thanks. So I think HC has been instrumental in many of these proclamations, especially in Texas. And definitely, like Priyaji said, this is just the beginning of us working together to really make sure that Hindus and all aspects of Hinduism is represented during the whole month of October. And it's not just something we do one time and just forget about it for the rest of the years. This is just one step forward for making sure that our community is fully represented and for the many generations to actually come. And as an HSE leader, this definitely does instill a new sense of confidence amongst Hindus that we see that we're represented, we see that our heritage is represented, and that people in the US do really care about our heritage and what our community has to offer. So that's mostly my thoughts, and it is really heartwarming to see this as a youth leader.
Thanks, Prasiddha. So I wanted to come back to Priyaji. You mentioned in your bio you're a mom. So I have a question for you. As a second generation raising third generation Hindu Americans, how has the Hindu American community changed? What are your thoughts on how future generations can keep our culture alive?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. As you've probably seen, I just haven't stopped smiling through this entire panel, just listening to all of you guys and everything that you guys are already doing so far. So as a second generation in this country, the first and foremost, we've grown. I mean, we have literally branched out everywhere. Our struggles with dual identity, who we are really is on the decline. I mean, I'm not saying it's gone. We all still have our struggles, but it's definitely in the decline. We aren't as only inclusive within our own communities anymore. When I came to the US in 6th grade, when I introduced myself as Priya, I was actually asked, so what do we call you? Because they hadn't even heard of a name like Priya, and they wanted it to be simpler. So since then, I mean, seriously, we've come a really, really long way. My generation, honestly, we knew we were going to settle here. We wanted to make everyone around us be comfortable with us. That was really our goal. Our responsibility to the next generation was to give you guys wings to fly, but not just to succeed and do well in college and get a good job and get married and have kids, but to make a true contribution in the US. And that's how I think we as the second generation kind of bonded, brought about the organizations that have taken hold in this country today and banded together. So my thoughts for the third generation and future generations is, first and foremost, join organizations that are represented on this panel. I mean, it's amazing. Be leaders, be a voice. attend interfaith meetings. It's very important that everyone take that on. Join city councils. Even if you're not a member, go. Make your voice be heard. Be active in your school, university, school boards. Many of you, when you start working, bring festivals like Diwali into your corporations. Don't just wait for these organizations to do it on a global level and invite your friends. Bring it to your corporations. Make, for me, my favorite dessert is gulab jamun. So make gulab jamun as popular as apple pie. I mean, just bring it into the mainstream. That is my wish for all of you. And I also, use the means as your generation. We didn't have some of these to engage with each other, whether it's chat platforms, videos, podcasts. Be influential using these means to spread who we are. Today, we hear a lot of terms like diversity and inclusion. When you do that, don't just represent our Indian culture. Bring your Hindu identity forward. Be the platform for the American Hindus, the Black Hindus like Will Smith, Caribbean Hindus, and so on. And last but not least, take time and really start thinking and identifying true Hindu leaders. Who are they? How will we together support them? For example, a long time ago when Vivekananda came here, he was able to do that for all of us because there wasn't many around. So don't just find leaders in your own groups. Support Hindu leaders that can trailblaze for all of us. That is one of my wishes for all of you. Continue to educate others, advocate for our faith, and notice how much that when we do it, we end up actually inspiring more of everybody of ourselves. We inspire others, and then we end up getting influenced ourselves. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was really eloquent, and I think definitely an inspiration for those of us who are on the panel, and hopefully also for a lot of us that are watching as well. So thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. So I have another question for the panelists. And anyone can feel free to jump in with this. Hindu Heritage Month gives us the opportunity to recognize, remember, and celebrate our values. Which Hindu values did you find yourself reflecting on this month? We'll go ahead and start with Natasha.
Sure. This is a tough one because I feel like during any festival, there's so many different moments in there where, you're like, it's so warm and you're remembering so many things. And there are a lot of just like quiet, very like spiritual moments where you have just a second to I always laugh during the Navratri Aarti. It just goes on forever and ever. And over the years, I've like grown to love that like little period of time so much because it's just a moment with myself to like listen to the Aarti and to like think. So I think one very important value for us is introspection. There's such a like prioritization of knowing oneself and of like just introspecting, trying to understand why we navigate through situations the way that we do. And I think Hindu Heritage Month, it was particularly unique because during this month, we weren't under Hindu Heritage Month, like as a platform, we weren't just celebrating for ourselves, for our families, for our friends. Somehow we community was brought into it. That was at the forefront of our minds. We were celebrating not just to celebrate, but like because there was this other motivation to like bring the community together to do this for Hindus all over the states and eventually everywhere. And I think my recent kind of fascination with and like desire to keep returning to this idea of introspection also kind of extends to community now, because it like as a community we need to introspect. We need to understand why it is that we're behaving the way that we are, what we need to do going forward, what are the values that ground us, and like keep using these opportunities to reground ourselves, to realign, to renew all the goals that we've always had.
Great, thanks so much for answering. I think we'll jump over to Prasiddha next.
One of the values I would say is Shakti, and I'll say why. It is taking a tremendous amount of strength for a lot of Hindus all across the US to actually get involved and make sure that these proclamations were recognized. And that takes a lot. It's not just, we see the end goal and we may think, wow, this proclamation or this senator said this or this representative of Congress did that. But we sometimes forget how much effort that would have taken from an advocacy standpoint. So really the Shakti, the kind of strength and the energy that it's taken to get recognition in the first place is something that I've constantly been amazed by with our community and so impressed and so happy with throughout this entire month.
Okay, thanks for sharing. We'll jump over to Agrimaji.
So I want to go back to what Natasha was speaking about earlier. I as well have participated in a lot of artis. I have some of them memorized. But this time, especially during Hindu Heritage Month, I took the time to understand why we are doing what we're doing. There's a lot of meaning in the artis that we do. There's a lot of reason behind what we believe in. And so I think it's important to not just know the what about Hinduism, it's important to know the why. And so I think Hindu Heritage Month was a great time to do that.
Thanks, Agrima. All right, Priyaji, your turn.
Absolutely, Agrimaji. This is, Hinduism speaks in symbolism, right? And I think we were able to really bring that out this month, not just by the displays, the fireworks. I know there's a lot of Diwali celebrations, there's a lot of proclamations, there's a lot of that. As far as Hindu values that were reflected, I mean, at least for me, there was so many. I mean, starting with dharma and karma for sure. I mean, we all took this on because we feel an innate sense of obligation. It's our duty, it's our pleasure. But in addition to that, satya, right? We were all very truthful. We were filled with integrity. We wanted people to really understand the true meaning behind everything that we do as Hindus, not just trying to explain it off or, necessarily compare it to what they're related to, but just kind of stand out as who we are. Kudumbakam, right? Not just all of us. I mean, bringing these resolutions into the mainstream. I mean, we became big-hearted. We became one community. We wanted to respect and value others as well as having them relate to valuing us. And last but not least, Utsav. I mean, passion, right? Utsav is all about passion, passion about who we are, passionate about our dharma, global community, the work that we do, the panels that we're on, and just kind of being behind each other, whether we support it quietly in our home pujas, temples, like we were even referring to the meanings behind artis, not just the spiritual meanings, but also just making sure that everybody understands it. So as you do these things, you're not just there because you have to, but because you want to. So I think at the end of the day, we brought out so many Hindu values. A lot of us didn't even really put it into buckets as to which ones we brought it out. So thank you so much for making us reflect on this question. Sohini, thank you.
Sure thing. Okay, I have another question, and this question is going to go to Priyaji and Agrimaji. How do you envision the Hindu community outside of Bharat keeping Hindu philosophy and festivity alive in the coming decade? We'll start out with Priyaji.
Okay, so, the biggest thing is to not be closeted. Get out there, right? I don't know if you guys saw, I know everybody's on Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram and everything else, but there's been billboards in so many states, in so many cities by the airport about Diwali, about Hindu Heritage Month. Like one of my goals is that we should have a billboard by every airport in every major city. Speaking of Diwali, we should celebrate it in society, like I was saying, in our jobs, not just in our temples, not just in our houses. And, one of the big things that I do is we do a big Diwali gathering at our house on the day of Diwali. Like we're not trying to do it on the weekend where it's convenient. We're trying to do it on that day. There's power to that day. So, respect our traditions, respect our holidays. That's what we need to do. I think, how inspired are we when we see Americans in Indian movies, or Americans going to India, Steve Jobs giving out autobiography of a yogi book at his funeral. I mean, unbelievable. Reading how Einstein, Carl Sagan was influenced by Hinduism. Back to what I was saying, when we see how we're influencing others, we end up really being more and more inspired ourselves. Let's take back words and concepts that are already there by just uncovering what their true origins are, whether it's yoga, mindfulness that we've talked about, Ayurveda, quantum physics, the number zero, our stories, our morals, our traditions. Let's start with what's already out there too. Let's make people understand their roots and origins. That would be how I would want to keep it alive outside of Bharat, where a lot of some of these things are taken for granted. Here we have to do the work to generate our pride. But first we have to educate ourselves. We have to then want to go out and be ambassadors for Hinduism. And that's what I see our generations doing together. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyaji. Agrima, would you like to answer as well?
Yeah, sure. So to add to what Priyaji said, I think it's also to keep festivities alive, I think we need to showcase who we are and celebrate the beauty of Hinduism. So participating in events hosted by Hindu organizations, such as the ones we have in this panel, is a great first step to keeping festivity alive. If we continue to participate actively in these religious events, it'll showcase the solidarity that we were speaking about earlier. And I think, simply put, that's literally what will keep Hindu philosophy and festivities alive. I think it's that simple. Yeah.
Beautifully said. All right, I have another question now that I'm going to direct towards Natasha ji and Prasiddha ji. What do you think are the biggest threats to the Hindu community, and what are the ways to overcome or mitigate them? We'll start with Natasha ji.
I think one of the biggest trends we're seeing right now is just an overeager conflation of issues and ideas. People are very quick to jump to like misconceptions because they're like putting things together that don't fit together. And I think a lot of us can like think of examples of how this has happened just over the past several years. And I think there are three main things that are necessary to like to find our way through this. I think in a situation when we have something like this, where there's just like all this confusion constantly being built up and spread so quickly now, we need to be a clarifying force in all of that. And in order to be a clarifying force that like inspires earnest and like precise and compassionate thinking, we need three things. One is internal awareness, first and foremost. Secondly, we need to be able to articulate well. And thirdly, we need to embrace that like perfect balance between unity and diversity that I think Hindu Dharma is great at. So this unity and diversity, I think Hindu Heritage Month did a great job of really like, it's such an example of that, because all of us are doing we have various goals within our organizations, but we've like come together under Hindu Heritage Month to like, work towards the same goal. And with internal awareness and articulation, I know there are a lot of initiatives coming up in 2022 with HSS. We're working on Hindu Dharma awareness campaign. And I think these are kind of these ought to be at the forefront of our minds. How can I know more? How can, with my family and friends, can we get to know more about our own dharma? How can we articulate it in a way that's going to be efficient and that's going to hit home without simplifying too much? Because obviously there is so much diversity in thought, so much diversity in practice. So how do we strike that balance between, embracing that diversity, like really, how do we showcase our freedom, without while like still being clear? So these are, I feel like, kind of rough thoughts. It's a tough question.
It is, yep, definitely. But we appreciate your thoughts on that. So Prasiddha ji, would you like to join in on that question? I think she may be having some technical difficulties right now. If she can join back in, we can ask her that question again. But in the meantime, I think we'll go ahead with our last question, which is, what is the one thing that makes you the most proud of being a Hindu? How do we instill this strong pride in our future generations? And I will go ahead and start with Agrima ji.
So I think I don't think I have an answer, because there's a lot I'm proud of being a Hindu. There's a lot to cover. I think the list is too long. I think to answer your second question, how we can kind of spread this pride is just by being proud. And I think that will become contagious. Like, I joined Kona because of somebody else who was happy to be a Hindu, and they loved what they were doing at Kona. So it's contagious, and I hope us being in this panel will lead a next bracket of panelists and going on, so on and so forth. So, yeah.
Great. Natasha ji?
I like totally agree with this. How contagious it is. I really think when you see somebody that's like, fully in it, it just spreads. Good things, they tend to be contagious, and that's really beautiful. Like Agrima said, this is a really difficult question. There's just too much. For me, I love that there's somehow we like really strike a balance between being so like passionate and like vibrant, and there's so much like festivity, and at the same time there's a very like constant and calm dedication to just like introspection and such humility and in whatever journey you take towards like gaining more knowledge or like gaining a better self understanding. It's so deeply humble, and there it like takes various types of activities, different practices that people have to engage in day to day or like periodically. It's such a combination of different factors for our tradition to be able to like strike that balance between this like very vibrant celebration and also very calm and like earnest investigation. I think that's probably what I think anyone that engages in that and loves it will definitely, make that contagious. I think that's how we instill this strong pride in future generations, is just to like enjoy how beautiful of a tradition this is.
Thanks for sharing that. Priyaji?
Absolutely. And I agree, right? I mean, it's not that it's just a hard question. It's the fact that this question is dear and unique and customized to absolutely each one of us. That's the beauty of Hinduism. It's like, it's multifaceted. No matter what your personality type, you will find something that reaches out, that calls to you. It's a beautiful journey at any age, whether you were 4 and drawing Ganesh, or today we're on panels like this, or inspiring the next generation. It's not, I was on an interfaith panel recently, and it was hilarious because the usual first questions are, so who's your leader? Like, who started, when did Hinduism start? And what are your books? And I'm like, well, let me see. There's no real one book. There's no real one leader. And I don't know when it started. But guess what? In that confusion lies the beauty of true Hinduism, which is Sanatan Dharma, which is just a way of our life, which is, there is no good and bad. There's no sin. There's no evil. There's just understanding your actions, your consequences. And so our faith can be applied at every point of your journey. So that, I think, is the beauty of Hinduism. Everybody can find something, the beauty in it. Everybody can relate to anybody. And it's truly inclusive. It is not like there's no conversion to become a Hindu. There's no, of course we have our, standard rituals and, things that we practice, but none of them are requirements. You don't get kicked out. You don't have you have a set of guiding principles. You don't have a set of rules and commandments. And so I think that's why we can, Natasha, like what Natasha was saying, it can be festive and mindful all at the same time. And that's the beauty of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Prasiddhaji, thanks for being able to come back in. Same questions for you.
Sure, thanks. My apologies. My internet died for a second. So first, as for what's the biggest challenges that impact the Hindu community today, I would say that it's really negative portrayal in the media that then slowly seeps into social media and causes significant amount of disinformation when it comes to Hindus. And this creates very hostile environments, whether it's on college campuses, workplaces, or other instances where there is just straight up blatant Hindu phobia. And this really stems from a lot of lack of awareness about who Hindus are and what we stand for, the history of Bharat. Everything that has happened in the Indian subcontinent is really misconstrued, and then we see it impacting Hindus in the diaspora. And we've seen a significant rise of this, especially on campuses, where there are certainly double standards when it comes to Hindus. But at the same time, what can we do to make it better is really to stand up for our rights. And this really comes from having a very strong background and knowledge of our history, knowing what the real facts are, knowing what we can do to really curb the kind of disinformation that we are seeing, and doing it always in a polite and respectful manner. Just because we stand up for Hindu human rights doesn't mean that we are against any other community. It just means that our community deserves fair treatment and respect in the way that any other community does. So really being able to stand up to it, learning more about our history, our traditions, instances where Hindus have been persecuted, really knowing all of this in combination with a strong outspoken background will definitely help us mitigate these issues. And what makes me most proud of being a Hindu is the diversity aspect. Honestly, so many Hindu traditions are so different. Like when we look at, not just within India, but even let's say someone who's like a Sri Lankan Hindu or a Nepalese Hindu, there's such different traditions, but we're all Hindus at the end of the day, and the philosophies that we all follow, are very different too, but we're still sort of like all paths like lead to one, and that's what I really, really like about Hinduism, and being able to instill this pride in future generations. Like my number one thing I would say is, of course, it's extremely important to understand the reason behind our rituals, celebrations, practices, but it's also equally important for us to read our history. Who are the Hindus? Where did we originate from? What has happened in our history? What happened not just in Bharat, but in other countries too, where Hindus used to be and now currently are not. It's really important for us to take a very hard look at history and what has happened in order to really preserve our human rights and ensure that we are fairly represented in all spaces of American life.
Thank you so much. I want to give a huge thank you to all of our panelists today. As one of our audience members said, this is a wonderful panel of Shakti power. So thank you so much, Agrima ji, Natasha ji, Prasiddha ji, and Priya ji for being a part of this today. And also a huge thank you to the powerhouse behind this event, Rakhi Asrani ji, the legal director of Hindu Pact. Thank you so much once again, and I will now hand it back over to Rutvij ji.
Dhanyawad Sohini ji for such a great panel, and dhanyawad to all the panelists. I'll just very quickly, add on and say that, on what was said, right? Our Hindu Dharma has gone through so much, and yet it's at the same time influenced so many people, including even our, founding fathers and our various presidents. And so for the youth, for everyone else, if you want to continue that legacy, I would strongly urge you all to join our various Hindu organizations. We have advocacy organizations like HSS and, Hindu Pact. We have various government groups like HAPAC, AFE Pact. We even have countless local city level groups that you can also get involved in. And so I would really urge all of you to join. And so on that note, in terms of two initiatives that are going to be coming up, we have a video from both the VHPA and also the HSS that I would like all of you to see now.
Holi is celebration of victory of good over evil, a celebration of the victory of Bhagwan Vishnu's Narsimha avatar over all-powerful Hiranyakashipu, rescuing his devotee Prahlad, a seemingly powerless child. Holi is the test by fire and survival of Prahlad against supposedly immortal Holika based on Shraddha or faith. Holi is a victory of powerless against those who have power. Holi is empowerment by faith. Holi celebrates the advent of spring. Holi is sheer joy and exuberance to celebrate the eternal and divine love like that of Radha and Krishna. It is coming together as a community. The community becomes one. Rich and poor, old and young, throwing powder of vibrant colors at each other, painting each other's faces. All our skin colors become one. The races and ethnicities become one. That oneness is Holi. Starting 2022, we are celebrating Holi as United Colors of Holi. We'll celebrate Holi for all its historic and dharmic reasons, and we'll remind our communities, Hindus and non-Hindus, that colors unite us. Colors of our skins are merely outward expressions, outward celebration for our inner selves, of the inner immortal souls. Welcome to the United Colors of Holi, an old tradition and a new beginning. United Colors of Holi, coming to you in March 2022.
Hello and Namaste. Thank you for participating in the wonderful concluding ceremony of the Hindu Heritage Month today. We at Hindu Swayamsevak Sangha will be organizing a Hindu Dharma awareness campaign in 2022. As a part of the campaign in January, we will be inviting and recognizing yoga teachers of various backgrounds at the concluding ceremonies of Surya Namaskar Yagna in various places. Starting in the month of April, we will be showcasing an exhibition on Hindu Dharma and Dharmic traditions of India across the United States. Later on in the year, we will be organizing Hindu Dharma seminars for city councils, school boards, civic and political leaders along with their staff, second-generation Hindu American adults, and interfaith and religious community organizations. Additionally, we will be presenting Hindu cultural programs in various cultural events at schools and cities across the country. Hindu Yuva, with chapters on 39 universities, will be organizing Hindu Dharma Awareness Week on various university campuses. 252 HSS chapters across 33 states and 1,400 plus volunteers are excited to organize Hindu Dharma Awareness Campaign in 2022. We invite all of you to join these efforts. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for that video. And that really does just about wrap up, Hindu Heritage Month. Now, we have so much to look forward to. And some of the groups that are going to be participating are actually led by our very, very young youth. And so we have compiled a video from them giving their thoughts on Hindu Heritage Month. Now, when we say youth here, we mean high school and below. So, these are really our future. And so Rakhi ji is going to be posting that YouTube video in the chat. Please take a look at it, forward it to all your friends. And so with that, I would like to, nearly wrap up Hindu Heritage Month, this culmination of hundreds of Hindu organizations and thousands of individuals and multiple government bodies coming together to celebrate our Dharma in what will be the first of many, many months to come. Thank you so much. It wasn't just the organization that did it, right? It wasn't just me or Rakhi ji or anyone, right? It was really you, right? The people that led this effort at the grassroots level. So we really want to thank all of you for making this whole event possible and for making it such a great success. Now, before you all leave, I'd like to let Jay Bansal, Vice President of Education of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, not only give some closing remarks, but also make a very, very special surprise announcement. Jay ji.
Namaste, everyone. Rutuji, thank you for this opportunity. So you spent last 45 minutes to an hour doing a quick look back at the Hindu Heritage Month 2021. As we gather here today to say goodbye to this grand event, let's take a moment to look back and remind ourselves the road it has traveled. Starting with almost no partners at the end of the last week of September 2021, we now have more than 100 organizations that eventually joined us as partners in this great movement. Among these were 1 from Thailand and 2 from United Kingdom. On last count, we had close to 100 events registered on our website, which have either already taken place or about to take place shortly. Much has been said about the various proclamations. We can certainly take pride in the fact that there have been close to 25 now states and untold number of cities that, across this land that have risen to honor the contribution of Hindu Americans by formally proclaiming October 2021 as the Hindu Heritage Month. And of course, several representatives from the US House of Representatives have caused it to enter into the permanent US congressional records. But that is not the end of it. Many more of these proclamations keep coming every day, but we have a special surprise for you. And to give you that surprise, to share that surprise with you, I would like to invite Amitabh Mittalji, our General Secretary, to the screen. Amitabhji.
Namaste, everyone. This 3 a.m. is a very important time. in the morning, and this morning 3 a.m. we received a message from Rome. I'm going to share my screen, and oh, my screen froze. Hello. Okay. Can it?
No, we're not seeing it. Amitabh, you may want to just read it and just talk about it.
Namaste. If you want to go ahead and share that again, we can try to add that in.
Okay.
Anybody go ahead and
Shariji, can you share it from your end? Do you have the document?
Sorry, which document are you referring to?
The one that Amitabh was going to share. No.
I have the plaque.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Amitabh, I suggest that you actually just read it if you don't mind.
I think he's having some technical difficulty, so if you want to jump in.
Okay, so why don't we move on, and we will invite him as soon as he's back in the studio. We'll come back to Amitabh in a second, but we can certainly take a moment to revel in the glow of these various accolades. Clearly, there's a large team of volunteers within my own organization, the BHPA, as well as our partner organizations who have contributed to the success of Hindu Heritage Month 2021. And I think we should give a heartfelt thank you to all of them for their dedication and hard work. As many of you know, we have a theme song video that was specially created for the Hindu Heritage Month 2021. This song was specially written, composed, and produced for this occasion by a very dedicated and accomplished second-generation Hindu. Her name is Vindhya Adapa. Professionally, she is a lawyer working for the US Department of Treasury and working on the policy issues for Southeast Asia. She was not able to participate in today's program, but we would like to recognize her for her immense contribution to this occasion with a plaque. So if you could kindly display that plaque on the screen for us, Sohini. Yes, so this is the plaque that we are very thankful and would be sending to Vindhya Adapa, and I'll read very quickly what it says. So Vindhya Adapa, in appreciation of your one and the same, the beautiful music video specially composed and performed by you for the Hindu Heritage Month. Your creative talent and dedication to the Hindu Dharma is exemplary and a source of pride for all Hindu Americans. Thank you. So, even as we celebrate what has already been accomplished in 2021, I would ask that we look to the future with anticipation and a sense of responsibility to do even better next year and year after that. Hindu Heritage Movement, a month, is a movement with momentum. It is imperative for the Hindu community to capture this moment in time and build it into something even greater. To that end, here's a vision for the future that I would like to share with you. In 2022, we envision this movement becoming a truly international event. We already had one Hindu organization from Thailand and two from UK joining us this year. In 2022, we would like to see Hindu Heritage Month being observed with the same or greater vigor in UK, Australia, New Zealand, Mauritius, Fiji, Caribbean countries, and others with significant Hindu population. Number two, in 5 years, we would like to see Bharat also formally join this movement. Number 3, inclusiveness is an integral part of the Hindu ethos. In keeping up with that core value, we would hope to see other dharma-based communities, such as the Buddhists, Sikhs, and Jains, to become enthusiastic partners in this movement. We would also hope to see some Western organizations and institutions, such as the Maharishi International University, which are strongly influenced by Hindu thought, to become equal partners in the Hindu Heritage Month movement. 4, the recognitions that we have received from many state houses and city governing bodies in the US this year is truly gratifying. Our goal next year would be to have such proclamations from all the 50 states of the Union. Number 5, our goal is to have the US Congress formally declare October as the Hindu Heritage Month on a permanent basis. We believe that we should be able to achieve this within this decade and eventually get recognition from the United Nations as well. Number 6, a declaration from the White House in the next 5 years is an aspirational goal. And number 7, eventually we see Hindu Heritage Month movement to gain a truly global status with 1 billion Hindus worldwide celebrating their shared heritage as one people. Now, on a slightly different axis, we believe that Hindu Heritage Month concept and format gives us a vehicle to make greater inroads into the hearts and minds of our second and third generation Hindu Americans. Over next year, we hope to engage a significant section of Hindu students in schools as well as in colleges to imbibe the Hindu values of equality, peace, harmony, and sustained living. Not only imbibe, but actually to become ambassadors thereof. Last but not least, the Hindu Heritage Month partners will aspire to promote seva, that is the selfless service, as a core value of Hindu Dharma to the society at large. These are not easy goals, but with dedication and perseverance, they're eminently achievable. We have strong wind behind us. We must not let this moment go to waste. The work must start immediately after the Hindu Heritage Month 2021 has been concluded. Starting tomorrow, I invite all partners to join us in planning for Hindu Heritage Month 2022 and beyond. Together, we definitely can do it. With these words, let's bid a fond farewell to the Hindu Heritage Month of this year. However, please note that the Hindu Heritage Month formally, although it comes to a close today. All right, so before I read the rest of my comments, let me invite Amitabh again to share this wonderful piece of proclamation with you. Looks like it's on the screen. So,
unfortunately, I think Amitabh is. Oh no, I think he is actually back. So let's go ahead and.
Right, wonderful. Yes.
Great timing.
I apologize. I don't know what happened. My screen froze. I am going to read a very important message, like I said, received this morning at 3 a.m. from our beloved Narendra Modi ji. The message comes from Rome, and it reads, it is heartening to learn that the closing ceremony of the Hindu Heritage Month is being celebrated by the World Hindu Council of America, comprising more than 100 Hindu organizations in US and Canada in the hybrid mode. The celebration will help further the strengthening the deep bond that the members of Indian diaspora feel with their motherland. Our rich culture and heritage has a universal, timeless appeal rooted in the welfare and care for all forms of life. Its underlying message shows humanity, the way to resolve everyday challenges in the life. The month of October this year is dotted with festivals of different faiths and communities that are celebrated with fervor and gaiety by all. These festivities will help showcase our inherent unity in diversity. The members of Indian diaspora are the ambassadors of India's culture and traditions, ethos. Such occasions help deepen the connect with Bharatiyata and Sanatan eternal ideals of and values. I'm sure the people will participate wholeheartedly and enthusiastically in various events such as cultural programs, webinars, walkathons, and multi-day conferences being held to mark the celebrations. May the Hindu Heritage Month festivities across US and Canada encourage and inspire several generations, particularly the youth, to experience the richness of our shared cultural heritage with enthusiasm and pride. May the Hindu Heritage Month celebrations be resounding success. Narendra Modi, Honorable Prime Minister of Bharat.
So that was, thank you so much, Amitabh. That certainly was a very pleasant surprise that we received 3 a.m. this morning. And anything I say after that, I think is going to be anticlimactic. So let me just close by saying thank you to everyone, all our partners, all our volunteers, and our second generation youth who carried out this beautiful closing ceremonies so wonderfully. So with that, let's bid a fond farewell to Hindu Heritage Month 2021. Back to you, Ritwiji. Namaskar.
Dhanyawad Jai Bansalji, and dhanyawad to everyone else who helped make this event a success. I think that just seeing the message from not only Modi ji, but from all of these various state governments, from the federal government, just shows how much of a success this event was and how much more we can achieve in 2022 and going onwards. So, as we traditionally do, I'll end this with a small Shanti Mantra and then we can part for till next time. Om Saive Bhavantu Sukhinah, Saive Santu Niyamayah, Saive Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkhavag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dhanyawad everyone and happy Hindu Heritage Month.